run or something like that with this. I feel like I'm like running
down the road.
like someone's chasing me or something.
See what people run into? More expensive crap they have to buy because they need it for YouTube. Hello, everybody. We're talking about the stuff that you don't need on YouTube. And we just like jumped on, man. We were just like, all right, this is it. We got to rock and roll. But I was like, oh, first we need music. So.
And we didn't really get a chance to listen to it. So that was my first thought is I feel like I have to run with this song.
Got to run. We're running up that hill. Anyways, so we are going to talk about the equipment that you need, stuff that you probably have been paying for that you can get rid of, and some other, whatever the conversation rolls at. I'm not sure if we have anybody that's doing that did any channel reviews, but I will gladly do channel reviews too towards the end. I want to do one public service announcement though, and I think everybody needs to hear this. Whenever you either A, start your YouTube journey, or B, you have a viral video happen, it is inevitable that someone is going to copy your thumbnail.
Yeah.
They may actually take your title and revamp it and do something similar as far as content. And do you know what you should do about it?
You should feel really grateful that you did something that like trends, because everyone does it.
Every single person who has a successful channel on YouTube at one time took the idea of that specific video from somebody else.
Yeah.
Very rarely. Everybody knows everything's already been invented, right? Everything. You know, all the TV shows that you watch, they weren't unique. They took it from somebody else at one point. And there is a guy on YouTube that literally every time I have a video that's over 100,000 views, he immediately rips it off every single time, even down to the words I use on the thumbnail. Guess how much I care? Big fat zero. I really do not care. I think it's funny. People send it to me and they're like, this guy ripped off your thumbnail and title. I don't care. I don't care. I'm the one that delivered content. I deliver it my way. The way that if someone was to rip you off word for word, script and all, that video would not even land the same anyways, because it's somebody else giving those words and advice. So if this happens to you, don't get your feelings hurt. Don't be like, they stole it from me. Stop it. Stop. Just move on. It's not a big deal.
The thing is, I think one of the things that people forget is that you get inspiration from everywhere. So like when you create a video, it's not like you just like thought this video up and like you're the first person that had that idea to make that video. You're affected by like what you consume, what you're interested in, the things that do it. And then you take those things that hit you and you put it together. Now, the people that are really smart and understand YouTube and the algorithm, they say, hey, there's patterns with this. So we're going to pattern our thumbnail and our title after that, because YouTube is giving a lot of love to this video and we want to have it recommend our video as well.
Right.
And so that's the thing is like, I think a lot of people like, they think, well, it's original. It's my idea. Not really, because you're getting information from different sources. So, So unless you're like literally downloading the video and then uploading the video as your own, like it doesn't matter. That is a problem. You like, yeah, eventually you're going to get shut down. But the thing is like put the video up and then move on. Like that's the thing is I think a lot of people like dwell on like, oh, I did this video. So what? Like things change. People and people say it in a different way, and people get along with people differently. So that's why you can say the same thing over and over and over, and yet it'll resonate with one person with some YouTuber and it'll resonate with another one just because of the way that they deliver it, or the way that they talk, or the way they connect with their audience.
I'm not confrontational. And years ago I had somebody like say that I copied them, and I was like, I was inspired by their thumbnail. So I'm always the kind of person that I'm a face-to-face kind of person. Right. I immediately picked up the phone and said, hey, I think we need to talk. And I told them who I was. Well, they immediately got defensive immediately. And I was like, hold on a minute. I'm not saying I wasn't inspired by your thumbnail and your title and even your content, but the way I did it was completely different. Like,
yeah,
the words on my thumbnail were the same, but the content that I made was not the same. And even though our titles were very similar, they're not exactly the same. You have a completely different audience. Like, you shouldn't be upset about this. This is kind of how YouTube works. And after we taught for a long time and everything, then the person got it. He got it. And he was like, okay, I just, I felt like it was theft. And I was like, I understand what you're saying. I really do. But like, I'm in real estate. You're in something completely different. It may happen that, our audience crosses over, but it's not the same stuff. And I'm not trying to steal anything from you,
Yeah.
And that was fine. It was fine.
Yeah. You just take it and you add to it. Like, you add
Right.
your own personal little flair to it.
Right. This was interesting. So a lot of so true. My live stream ideas and TNs are, maybe thumbnails are heavily inspired by Christina's streams. And and this is how much I don't care. I have given people elements from my thumbnails in the past. Like, at one time, it was a big trend that everybody was talking about, the housing bubble, but they didn't know how I did the bubble. So I was like, oh, here's the bubble. I gave them the bubble to show them how to do it. And then I told them how to layer it up to put the house, one bubble behind it, and the house on top of that, and then another bubble on that, and then fade it out. So it looked like the house was sitting in the bubble. I showed people how to do it because I don't care.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Like, this is such small potatoes to even worry about. But you will have it happen. And at first, you're going to have your butt chapped. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be like, man, I worked so hard on that. But then you got to remember, this is YouTube. And, whatever. You just can't get your
thing. The other thing, too, is like, I think that a lot of people, like, they get like really offended, or they get that, but they're focusing on the wrong thing, right? It's like, hey, rather than like create an enemy out of someone or be really nasty towards someone, why don't you reach out to them and say, hey, our audiences aren't exactly the same, but we might be able to cooperate and do some collaboration and stuff. And that's where, like, there's some real value that comes in, rather than looking at it as everything is competition and a scarcity mindset, because that's really what it comes down to, is that they're just scared that you took their idea and now they've got to come up with something else. So, and what's funny is they'll pull it from someone else and do their thing, but then they claim ownership.
Right. So, and like, if you ever used a blog post to outline your video, then in theory you stole somebody else's content. But all I want people to know is that it will happen. Don't get your butt chapped over it. It's not a big deal. It's how the YouTube system works. If you look at Mr. Beast, biggest YouTuber on the planet, he really does come up with some good original ideas. And there are literally thousands of copycat channels of Mr. Beast that literally do the same exact video with their friends or something very similar,
He even gives them graphics and things and said, hey, go ahead, use my stuff, do it, because he understands that everything that he does is going to benefit him, because he's already trending. So it doesn't matter. So like, let's say you do a video and it's popping off, and then someone copies that video. Well, guess what? They're going to go back and go, the algorithm's going to go, hey, you watch this one, you'll probably like this one. And now all of a sudden you're getting, because someone else made it, because now it's a numbers thing where now there's more information, people going from one video to another in the same niche, or the same, like what you're talking about, the same thing. The crossover is huge. And that's why YouTube does it, is because they're like, hey, you watch this video, looks really similar to this video, watch this one.
Right. And think about, like, okay, so if we're really thinking about how many agents have done a pros and cons video, right?
Oh, geez. Or living in
or moving to videos, right? They all do it. They all copy each other's thumbnails. They all put content out. Do you think they're calling each other going, hey, you copied my idea? No, because that's a freaking template that's put out by gurus that says, make these videos and you'll get business, right? Everybody, every single person does it. Every single person. So just relax. It's not a big deal, but they're in my market. Shut up. Like, just stop.
I think what it comes down to is like, one, don't worry about it. And two, like, this is an opportunity like to make even better content, right? Because the people's like, when you have someone that's copying your stuff, it's going to be very apparent from the viewer who made the original content and who is just copying. Now there's a difference between copying and having a different point of view along the same topic, right? Because there's only so many topics that we actually talk about. Affordability, you know, like new home buyer, seller, new construction, you know, that kind of stuff. You can say that a gazillion ways, but in the end, there's only a few things that you really talk about in real estate. And so for people to get their hide chat because you copied their layout of their thumbnail or the way that you positioned yourself, like nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Yeah.
Just relax. I wanted to point that out because I do see that a lot. And one of our friends that's happened to, and then I was like, just ignore it. Just ignore it.
No, what are we talking about today?
So the reason for today's stream, Joe, is to talk about all the unnecessary crap that we've bought over the years to do our YouTube channel. And there is some crap, like there's some garbage that I've bought over the years, and I don't want anybody else to fall into that nightmare. I'm going to tell you, the very first thing I bought that I thought, well, I definitely need this, was music. I bought, and I just canceled it, was Soundstripe. And then all they did was royalty-free music. That's all, the only thing they provided for me. And I was like, there's so many other services out there that are so much cheaper, first of all. And secondly of all, they provide more than music. They give you B-roll and graphics and all sorts of other things that include it. Envato is one of those. Storyblocks is another one. Like, there's no reason. I assure you with every fiber of my being, you do not need a subscription to a very exclusive, expensive music app for your videos. You really honestly don't. And if you're putting music through your whole entire video, stop now. They hate it.
So I have to tell you, like, if I were to take my camera off of the tripod and just pan in this room, you would just laugh because there's just crap everywhere. Like, I mean, I've got more cameras. I've got like lenses. I bought this thing. I've never even used it. Bought this.
I have one of those. I have one of those.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm like, I need this, never used it.
No, I've never used mine either. Not once.
Yeah. So like when people are like, I mean, I have that's just what I can reach right here. And if I were to pull up the other stuff, but I think that's kind of like one of the things that, like, as agents we do, because it helps us cope with having to make a video is like, I can't make a video until I have like a really good camera or until I have the best editing computer or the best lights or whatever. Like, there's so many things that you can distract from actually making videos. And actually, if you really want to get a great deal on equipment, you can always go to like a realtor Facebook page where they're selling stuff that they've never even used, and it's brand new.
Marketplace is loaded with that stuff. Loaded. There's people that are like, oh, I was going to start a hobby as a vlogger and it never panned out. But I will tell you this. I don't like paying for things. I really don't, unless I'm really going to use it. And of course that happens. But the one thing I learned, because I tried to go cheap on, was never go cheap on your audio. Right. Like, I bought the first thing I bought was like a lapel that could hook to my cell phone. And that thing, no matter where it touched at the bottom, it would go with that crunchy noise. And so then I was like, okay, well then I'll buy another one. And I bought another brand. It was a little bit more expensive. Again, garbage. And it wasn't until I was like, I'm tired of buying garbage. I'm just going to go ahead and get the more expensive one. And as soon as I did that, it was amazing. It was totally amazing. I had bought those Rode mics, the ones that hook to your lapel. But then I found out with that, that's heavy and it drags on your shirt.
Yep.
So I got a good Sennheiser lapel mic, which really wasn't that much. I think it was like $69.
Yeah, they're like $60-$70, but they're amazing.
Right. But just to hook that into the little Rode box, it was like a brand new world. And it makes such a big difference, huge difference in your quality just to have that microphone. You don't need, if you're on the budget and everything, just use your cell phone to record your videos. But if you're gonna put in the money, put it in your audio first. That's what I'd say.
100%. I mean, that's the thing is a lot of people, you get grace with video, but man, if your audio is not very good, you get comments like, why did you it's like if you're running music in the background as you're doing it, that like freak out because why do you have the music up or whatever? And then
they'll write in there. They're like, oh, I'm not sure. I think you should turn the music up a little louder. So I couldn't even hear you even more.
Yeah.
Snarky,
Yep. And but the thing is that it's true. Like people are more about if they can understand you and it's clear, like the quality of video can be less and you won't hear a thing.
Yep.
And I agree 100%. Like audio is like number one. If and the thing is now like when like I started making videos, like you really did have to have like a good camera because they didn't have
a DSLR.
Yeah,
like a DSLR.
My very first one was right over here. It's like a Canon GL2 with the little mini DVD tapes, and like that thing was like $3,000, and like you had to anyway. Just a lot of stuff, but the thing was the quality was amazing compared to other stuff. And then now that we have, DSLRs come out, and then now our cell phones are like, they shoot amazing footage and you can get these little gimbals, and now something that costs, $10,000, $15,000 you can do for like your phone and $150 gimbal.
Yeah. Well, and that was my next thing to talk about. So at one point there was only one company that was really doing gimbals, right? DJI was the only one that really had it mastered. Since then, there's been other gimbal companies that have come out because all they did was rip off their stuff.
Yep.
You can get a decent gimbal out there for very, very cheap. And this is another time that I will tell you, go ahead and talk to other real estate agents who said, I'm going to do all my listing videos with a gimbal. And they don't do it. None of them freaking do it. And I'm going to tell you another thing that people don't know. Is the stabilization right now in your cell phone itself, even when you're walking on a rocky, it's not bad. It's really not that bad. So if you couldn't invest in a gimbal right now, or you haven't found somebody that's giving it away for a steal, if you have the most recent iPhone or even one generation behind, the stabilization that's already in the phone is amazing. Is amazing. So, that's just one other thing. I want to talk about like some apps. There's some apps that are out there that people have been paying for the service to help them with their YouTube channels. What apps do you think are, not necessary?
For YouTube? All of them. I mean, like I don't, there's not, I mean, you could, I guess if depending on like what metric you want to track, you could do vidIQ or something like that. But like back in the day, TubeBuddy was good, but it's not great. I would say just learn Google's analytics on the back or YouTube's analytics in their studio is amazing. Like you could do a lot with that.
I think for some people, the way that's those apps like TubeBuddy and vidIQ, it just makes it very simple for them to see what they need to see in a very quick amount of time instead of having to click on several pages to know what you're looking at. So I think if you're new, those apps are good. The other thing that those specific apps are really good for is organizing your content in answering messages, because now they have a way, like when you're answering comments, they almost have them pre-filled out for you. With TubeBuddy, there's always, every single time they always will say, I really love your channel and I want to respond. So I'll give them a little check and a little heart, and then I'll say, thank you so much for watching the channel. And that's just I can't.
It's already they've got like 3 different prompts you can pick from or whatever.
Yeah, and you can even program it with more. So I mean, that's really good. At one point too, that TubeBuddy was really good for A/B testing. Well, now YouTube is rolling that out to all channels. You won't even necessarily need that, and that was the most advanced TubeBuddy that you would need. But if you're using those apps for your YouTube channel to find magical keywords,
keyword research, SEO,
and stop doing
but see, that's my problem with it, right? Is because when you install it, that's the first thing that's the shiny object. It's like, oh, your keywords aren't where they need to be, and your strength isn't where it needs to be, and here's what you need to put in, and then they give you suggestions, and you go on that, and it's like, so you go down that rabbit hole that doesn't matter. And so that's my gripe. Like, if they could just say, hey, we're going to focus on like making things easier, great. But
they don't focus on it like they used to. They used to like really, drill it down, like all of them did. There was another one that they were actually a little bit better, but they don't focus on the keyword part too much. I will say this. It's the cheapest part of their package for a reason. Even the free version, they give you keywords.
Their big thing that they're doing now is like the AI generated titles and AI generated.
So bad.
Yeah, like that.
That's enough. Like, thank you for reminding me. If you are using the AI generated titles to make your titles more YouTube friendly, stop right now. They're awful. Because I clicked on it because I was like, because it's still downloaded. I don't use it, but every once in a while I'm like, oh, what's this feature? And what their title that they gave me, I'm like, who would click on this? It's like reading an encyclopedia. This is not even. There's nothing sexy about it. There's nothing that's enticing about it.
Right.
And it will say, oh, this gives you a good score because it's engaging and blah blah blah. I don't even think they necessarily understand who your audience is, right? Because like one time I put in affordable housing, because that's what my whole entire channel is about. And that keyword was like, it gave me a terrible score. And I'm like,
you're like, oh, I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, no, but if I didn't know any better, right? And I listened to this, I would be like, oh, I've been barking up the wrong tree. I better listen to what these, AIs tell me to do.
And I think that's the issue that I have with it is that because it, in a way, when they pitch it, it's like an easy button. And it's like, hey, you're going to, yes, it does make it so you don't have to go through multiple tabs, and you don't have to go through, and it analyzes your analytics and consolidates comments and all that kind of stuff, which is actually very handy, especially when you get like a lot of comments. So like that makes a lot of sense. But like the biggest thing I think is agents are like, oh, well, it says it's going to be good, so I'm going to do it. And then they do it. And then they're like, I didn't get any views. Like, why didn't I get any views? And it's probably, number one, their thumbnail was crappy. And then number two, the title was AI generated, and it, like, someone that's actually looking at the channel is like, or on, they're going to be like, I'm not enticed to click on that at all.
And that brings up another point on another thing that people waste a lot of money on. And that is hiring a thumbnail designer. And because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I've seen it so many times. People are like, oh, I have a thumbnail designer. I'm like, really? And then they show me their thumbnail, and I already know what their niche is about and everything. I'm like, it would be great if you were a gamer, or this would be great on a blog post. And it's not tailored towards the type of content you're making. It's not tailored to the title. It looks so off from what okay, so we're going to talk about the housing market crashing, and there's a guy standing there like this, smiling, right?
Yeah.
Or he's going
like totally disconnected from like everything that like you're talking about.
Right. You know, like people are desperate and losing their house, and you're going to talk about it like with a, you know,
A smirk.
reporter smile. Like, you know?
The thing is also with these, when you hire it's fine. Look, if you want to hire someone to do graphic design, but they need direction. Like, I think what happens is most people go, wow, their thumbnails look really good, which they do. Graphic designers are really good at graphic design, so they make them look good, but that doesn't mean that it's for your niche and for your viewer. You have to understand like what your viewer wants.
What are they clicking on today?
Yeah.
What elements are they are working? Like, for a hot minute, you know, like everybody in this chat, I'm sure will agree with me. Everybody under the sun was throwing fire in their thumbnails, whether they were talking about DIY projects, staging your home, housing market crash, because I made the statement, you throw fire in a thumbnail, somebody will click on it. And they're like, well, I'm just going to put a fire, you know, like
fire. That's the solution.
That's the solution to the thumbnail problem. And that's not what it is. You have to understand what your audience wants. And you have to understand why you're putting those elements in. You're not just putting them in because you think it's some kind of hack, which a lot of people are looking for the easy way to make a thumbnail or design a thumbnail. But I mean, all these things you learn over time. You're not going to get it overnight. And the other thing too is that I know that like Canva, PicMonkey, all these other sites that you can edit a thumbnail on will have templates. And those templates, take those and throw them all the way in the trash and start with a blank slate. You should never have a template that you're using for a thumbnail that's given to you for free from some of those companies.
Yeah. Like, it's been sold over, you know, 1 million times over, and it doesn't fit.
No. And if it doesn't fit, you must quit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't like that.
Great. Now we're gonna have like a white Bronco on a thumbnail. So we've got Stuart saying, what mic do you suggest for a lapel when doing videos outside? What mic for talking heads? So there's a couple different ones. Rode has some, and then I have
the DJI.
Like the DJI ones are amazing because they actually have 2 receivers. And you can buy a little, like what Christine was saying earlier, a little lav mic extension with actually a little lav mic that you can then pin on your shirt on the inside or whatever. And then it just hooks to the bottom of your phone. They're amazing.
The Rode, I used Rode for quite some time, and they're great. Don't get me wrong, right? But even if you take really good care of them, over time that battery wears down. So I had to get rid of the Rode. And then I got the DJI this year, and DJI. I always say DJI. I got those ones this year, and they really are incredible. There is a learning curve, and I hate the fact that it's like a touch screen on that little tiny thing. So like if you do get that mic system, spend some time to really understand your mic and the gains and everything. Go on the computer. It's just that is a learning curve to figure out your settings correctly. And that's true of your cameras too. As we know.
You just need to know somebody at that point, right?
Well, I'm getting a Sony next. My husband said he's going to get me a Sony. So I know you can help me set that.
They're my favorite. Yeah, they're my favorite. Okay, so Jeremy asks, Stuart asked lighting suggestions. Depends on what you want to do. Lights can be really inexpensive or really expensive. We both of us have a soft box, like what you're seeing right there.
Yeah, this one cost me, I think there was a set and it was $100. It's just like a regular.
Yeah, it's just a big bright light, and then it has like a little box and then a little film, and it diffuses the light and gives it more of a soft feeling.
Yep.
And then so Newer is a brand. You can get those. They're LED lights, so they don't get hot, and you can actually adjust them with your phone. So like when you're filming, and they go all different colors. So I use those. Yep, like those right there in the background.
Yep. Jeremy Blanton, who's in the chat, told me about these.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They are great. Oh, and then another one, if you're wanting to spend a lot of money, if you look right over my head right here, that key light right there is, I can't point. Okay, that key light is amazing. Like, honest to God, it's the best light I've ever had. It just has the right softness. You can adjust the brightness, but it's
is that the Godex one?
Yeah, but
that's one I have right here.
But it is an investment. It's one of those things.
Expensive.
It's expensive. It is, but it's one of those things. Is like, you set it up, you leave it there, you never have it's set it, forget it.
Yep.
And it always looks great. These are temperamental. Like, one week it will look great and I don't look like a ghost. Like, this week I look like a ghost. I don't know. I don't know what to do. And like, I'll tell you another thing. Like, I live stream from my desk right here, and I have this camera that's a Canon EOS T7i, and the lighting is never right because whatever changes on the screen reflects off my face.
Yep. And then the brightness, so you almost have to turn your screen brightness down, but then you can't read what's on the screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So just know that if you're going to live stream, I'm going to tell you right now, you can live stream for free.
Yeah.
You can literally take your camera and live stream from YouTube. There's a little button right at the top that says go live, and you can just go live. You fill in the description. You can even upload a thumbnail from your phone. I used to do that. I did that for a very long time. If you're going to live stream like Joe and I, the best thing to do is just go ahead and get StreamYard.
Yep.
I mean, there's some other sites too. I think Be Live is one, Ecamm is another. Whatever it is, whatever third party it is, just go ahead and test them out. Most of them have like a free trial. Some of them have a free version, and then they put their own like branding at the top.
On it.
Right. If you're going to do their branding, but it will make your life so much easier, because using the free version that comes from YouTube, you can't put the comments on the screen. You can't put this on the screen. So if you start with, if you're going to live stream, and I always suggest people do live streaming because it does do a lot for your business, just go ahead. That is one investment. Go ahead and just get a third-party software that connects to your YouTube system, and you can set up your live streams there. It will make your life 10 times easier. And you guys are very lucky, because back in my day when I started, the only software that you could use to make creative live streams was something called OBS.
Yeah, which was way like clunky, and your audio syncing with your lips when you're talking, and
it had like there's a something that would happen is they call drop packets, so it would go like your Max Headroom.
You're like Max from like the 80s. Yep.
Yeah, like you have to have very strong internet to use that kind of system. But this right here makes it so simple. And some of the best YouTubers that you see that a live stream today, that's exactly what they're using. They're just using either StreamYard, Ecamm, one of those, because it makes it a lot easier.
It's easier. You can organize your library. There's lots of reasons why. But I think the biggest thing that we like is that we can put like the little bar down there to say, ask your questions. We can pop up. See, like as Christina and I are talking, like we're both running like the people putting comments up, and people. So like if I'm talking, Christina may put something up. If she's talking, I may put something up, which is really nice so you don't feel like you have to like be the producer and be on the show the whole time. It's harder to do by yourself, but it's very doable compared to not having it. And you can do like picture in picture. We could pull up articles, websites, like what we do for the channel reviews. It's worth every penny.
And even videos with the sound, where the sound quality is good. That gets to my next thing on what you should or should not be wasting money on. Editing services. So I strongly say that you should learn how to edit your videos yourself first. And the only reason I'm telling anybody to do this is you need to understand what to tell an editor what you want done. So if you haven't gone through the process to at least know some basic editing, it's going to be very difficult to have that communication with your editor that you've hired. I know darn well that most of you don't have the time to edit your videos every single week. It's exhausting. But there are people out there, this is their job and they edit all the time. Then, you know, you can get a good turnaround time. But and you'll see on Instagram, and you'll get emails all the time of people doing editing service. Go ahead and reach out to them. Give them a video that you've already edited in the past. Tell them to go ahead and edit it up for you just to see what it looks like. But just know that you have to work with somebody that you can communicate with and that will understand what you're saying. Because if you've never edited before and you're like, I don't know, just chop it up, you're not going to understand how to make a good video. So interview plenty. I've seen editors, and I don't know how they do it, but like they'll do a video for $100 per video. I'm like,
I think a lot of them start out that way, and then they get you hooked, and then they raise the prices up.
Correct. So you'll find some of those editors, and then you'll find, like, over time, as you start to build up your channel, you're going to want more editing, more professional editing. There's going to be things that you're going to want to add to your videos that your editor that has been inexpensive doesn't know how to do. And you may not be able to train them. So you are going to have to find a new editor. But in the meantime, just find yourself somebody cheap on the old Instagram that will do for $100 a video, but make sure you understand the basics of editing so you can train them correctly. That's what that is, an investment that you're not going to waste money on. So yeah. What's the next thing, Joe? What's another thing that people waste money on when it comes to YouTube?
You know, I mean, there's so many things that people waste money on. Like, there's all these little gadgets, all these little things that you can get. One of the things that I think instead of wasting money, I'm going to shift it just for a second, say something you probably should have.
Okay.
And just because doing YouTube is hard, like it's not, you get this nuance and it's new and you're excited, and then all of a sudden that wears off and it's work. And so one of the things that's really frustrating that we see our students deal with a lot is they are consistent in making videos, but their videos are crappy because of their crappy audio, you know, or whatever. So if you're seriously about like gonna do it, then do it. If you're gonna edit the videos, get a machine that you will be able to edit so that you do not want to kill someone. Because like if your computer is slow and you're filming and you can't get stuff done, you will quit. Because there's nothing more frustrating besides really bad audio than putting a video in and you just see the old beach ball spinning around and it's not loading. So if you are going to do your editing and you want to move into that, then buy a computer that can handle the editing part of it. Like that's a must. Right. But as far as like people wasting their money, I don't like, there's so many other. I'm gonna rattle off a couple. You hire somebody or pay for scripts for specific videos or SEO.
So crazy. I saw this years ago. You were buying SEO packages where they would give you the title. They would give you a thumbnail idea, basically, and you would kind of just drag in your own image on top of it. And then they would write out your description. All right. And that was one of those. The other one, the one that, like, we talked about this one killed my soul because I was like, that is such horse pucky. But it was so off the horse pucky that I had to actually even confirm with Daryl just to make sure I knew that was garbage. And it was geotagging your thumbnails. Yeah. That is literally dog crap. Like, Daryl actually physically started laughing. He goes, okay, so yeah, if this was 2007, that was work. He goes, look, I've done every single hack under the sun. The only hack that really works anymore is the fact that you make really good content and people watch it. That's all you got to do. Like there's no secret code. There's no back door. There's no, there's just no magic wand that's going to all of a sudden make the YouTube god smile on you unless you make really good content. That's it. That's the trick. That's the hack. So don't fall for those packages to simplify your life, because really you're just throwing money out the window. And I've wasted so much money on so many different hacks or secrets or, these little things. And it's all horse crap. And I want
to see if I can let me see if I can put this on the screen. This is another one. I don't know if it'll let me, but let me see here.
Oh, man, I got a double chin on here.
I always have it.
Like I live here now.
Okay, I keep going. I want to put something on the screen because this is something I need to just convert it really fast. So
he's gonna do a little needle on the record. He's put the needle on the record.
Yeah.
Another thing is, I will say, it pays to pay for good coaching, right?
Yes.
It pays to pay for good coaching. And don't get me wrong, I know Joe and I are really good coaches. But along the way, you're going to be at conferences, you're going to see people on stage, and they're going to talk a good game. I strongly recommend, and this is something that I've done with my own experience. I bought one course, not from a real estate agent, but from another YouTube guru, right? And I took this course and I regretted it afterwards because it didn't work, and it wasn't what it wasn't working with the way that they had promised. And that, I was all the keyword heavy and everything. Oh, then I started taking a step back, and I'm like, this person who is an expert can't even get views to his own channel. And then on top of it all of his students aren't getting views either. So why am I listening to this person? So I waited many years before I ever invested in another one. And I knew that if Nick Niven ever came out with a course, I was going to take it immediately, which he still hasn't done, by the way.
Nope.
And then the second one was, I heard about Daryl Eves, and then I found out that Daryl taught Nick how to do YouTube. And I went, oh, well, then I'm just going to go to his teacher.
Yeah, just go straight to him.
And I got lucky because he had a promotion to be a beta tester for Channel Jumpstart. But I always investigate every single person that I'm going to invest my money in. Do they have a successful channel? What are they doing? If they are selling courses or anything like that, I want to know who they are, and if what they're talking about is just fluff and utter sandwiches, or they really have proof of what they're talking about. And I'm not talking about screenshots, because anybody can take a screenshot from anybody.
Right.
I want to talk to other people that have been through that specific course and interview them, ask them all the questions I need to ask them, because I don't want you to go through that problem again. It's frustrating, especially when you have depended on a guru to help you, and they don't know what they're talking about.
And sometimes you get sold on the hype. This happened to me. You get sold on the hype, and then you buy this package and it's super expensive. And then the person that sold you doesn't even coach you. They have 20
coaches.
Yes. Little minions that regurgitate what they do. And then when you have a real question, they can't answer it because they've never actually done it. And so those things are really, really important. So I wanted to add this really quick to the stage. Don't waste your money on these things.
Oh, we get those emails. I get those on my other channel too. And I love when they tell me I don't have a fully optimized thumbnail or a fully HD quality thumbnail. I'm like, dude, I'm the one who taught how to do HD thumbnails. What are you talking about?
This right here, this means absolutely nothing. So when you get these emails, if you're feeling a little snarky, you can have ChatGPT write an awesome response or whatever, but we just literally just toss them. This is a waste of money. If you're doing YouTube and you just start a channel and now you're getting bombarded by these people, just ignore it, because it will not help you in any way at all.
Stuart wants to know what we consider expensive. I consider anything
expensive as far as what, for coaching?
Yeah. Well, I'll just say anything I purchased that didn't deliver on the promise is expensive.
Right.
Anything that I've purchased that didn't deliver on what they promised they would do, even when, because I'm one of these people, if I'm going to pay for it, I'm going to do every freaking step they told me to.
Yep.
Everything they did. And if it doesn't work, then I'm like, they're full of crap. And I have no problem. I'm the kind of person, as nice as I am, and I will call people, I will call them out just as much and say, you lied. I can't stand a liar. I can't stand a crook. I can't stand a thief. And a lot of times when you are dealing with people that are trying to sell you something, a lot of them are making up, inflating, not being completely honest on what the results they can provide for you if you do their course.
Yeah.
And that's where
and I think that's what it comes down to, is like, what's the return on your investment? Like, it's not so much if it's expensive or not, like in a dollar amount. Like if you look at something that's a dollar amount, like I did some commercial coaching from a guy, and everything that you said, like he was the real deal. Like he just understood commercial, and I really wanted to learn more about that. And the coaching was $20,000 a year, and I did it for 3 years. So I spent $60,000, and
it was worth it, wasn't it?
Huh?
Was it worth? It was worth it.
Absolutely.
Right.
I did one deal, and I made like 10 times that. Like so the thing is that it's what's the return? Like if it's like, that was when they first said like, hey, it's this much, I about fell out of my chair. I'm like, for what? Like what are you going to teach me? I'm already in real estate. And then I realized I don't know what this guy knows. And he actually, like, so the value is there, and I learned a skill that I didn't have before. And it was leveraging, like learn how to leverage other people's money. And that was huge, because I'd never ever really done it, you know?
I paid for real estate coaching years ago, and biggest waste of money I've ever had, right? I don't need anybody to rah, you can do it. Make sure you make those cold calls. I didn't need that. What made me quit is they told me to stop wasting my time on YouTube. They said that everybody's on Facebook, nobody's on YouTube. Don't do it. It's not worth it. You're spending too much time on it when you could be out there on the streets talking to people. And I was in a tug of war at that time, because I didn't have a very successful channel at that time, but in my heart of hearts, I knew it was going to work. Like I knew it was going to work. And when I fired that person, now every once in a while I check on them, and I'm like, I bet you now, like I'll comment on their stuff, because I want them to be like, I bet they regret telling me that, because they were saying, oh, you should only do video for Facebook. That's where the people are at.
Yeah.
You know, YouTube, it's just a place to hold your videos. Over time, people can find them, but it's not a place to build a business. They said that.
Yeah. And the thing is that like everything evolves, right? Like there's evolution in all of this stuff. But one of the things that, you know, that's the most funny to me is when you tell someone like your goal or your dream, or you want to do something, and they poo-poo it right off the bat, yet they've never even done any of that stuff. And so they're like, why are you doing YouTube? That makes no sense. Why wouldn't you go do, like I have lots of people that are, they still do, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's just not what I would do with my time, but they'll go and hang door hangers and go knock neighborhoods. And I'm like, I have no desire to do that at all. And my business hasn't suffered in any way because I didn't go knock doors. So I think what people have to realize is that whatever you do, it's work. Like YouTube, you have to treat it as if that's your block of cold calling. If that's your cold calling, then you write your script, you put your stuff together, you organize your videos, you work on your thumbnail, you have everything ready to go, you film your video. That's your cold calling. And then when you release it, you get better. Just like when people do cold calling or any kind of sales, they're terrible in the beginning. But then they dial in their script, they get more comfortable, they find their voice, and then it takes off. And there's no difference between doing that and doing a YouTube channel. The only difference is that your reach is so much farther with YouTube.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The next thing I want to tell you to not waste money on is, instead of this year going to another real estate conference where you spend all that money on hotels and all that stuff, I want you to sign up for not a real estate social media conference. I want you to go just to a atypical social media conference that relates to all different kinds of brands. The biggest pivot in my life when it came to understanding not just YouTube, just advertising in general, and how it changed the plan and trajectory of my YouTube channel and my career, was I went to a social media conference, and it was the smartest thing I ever did. I learned more at that conference, the very first one, social media conference I went to, than I ever did in the 15 years I had done real estate and all those other conferences that I wasted so much time. The only thing that those real estate conferences are really good for is getting a good deal on the signs, good deal on, the books that you make for your CMAs. Yep. But I don't need to pay a $900 ticket for a real estate conference just to get a good deal on signs. That's really stupid. It's like really dumb. Find a conference, find a social media conference. I have, Joe and I, we love Vid Summit. That was the first one I ever went to. But Social Media Marketing World is another one.
Another great one. Yep.
Another great one. And don't go to one that's just focused on YouTube. Find one that has it for everything, for LinkedIn, for Instagram, for Facebook. And even Snapchat. Like, find a conference that talks about all of those things, because these social media sites aren't going anywhere, and you can find your way, carve a new path, maybe on a site that no one is really talking about. For a long time, everybody ignored LinkedIn, right? They ignored LinkedIn. Now there are agents and mortgage brokers and attorneys that are literally crushing it by using LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I would say. Stop buying real estate conferences that you honestly are there to just jump from room to room to hear other people puff up their chest on how many sales they had.
Well, and the other thing is what are you there to learn? Like, are you there to learn what someone's GCI is? Are you there to learn how to learn how to market and how to advertise and how to put yourself out there? Because like Christina has mentioned, we are marketers first, and then we're real estate agents. And so if we understand what's going on, what's trending, what platforms people are using, then, you're going to be that much better, because that way you're able to get out for your clients, whatever it is, to reach out to a wider audience. I will say this, and I'll put this plug in, is that Vid Summit, which is my favorite by far, there is no ego with any of that stuff. You literally could go talk to anyone. You may have someone that you're sitting next to that could have 10 million subscribers and you'd have no idea.
Yes, you're right.
But they have all the knowledge of how YouTube works and all that stuff is. But it's just simple. Like if you want to get better at YouTube, you probably should go to a YouTube conference. If you want to get better at social media and specifically LinkedIn, you may want to go to Social Media World, or to to somewhere that they're going to focus more on that type of platform. But ultimately, we're pro YouTube because of how massive it is and how much opportunity in the real estate space there is. There's so much opportunity.
I find it to be, once you figure it out, I find it to be a lot easier to gain traction on YouTube than I do on Facebook and Instagram. I find that is like literally trying to swim through mud.
Yeah.
You know, trying to like one, you know, for years it was hashtags. Now they're saying don't put hashtags. And then you're going to have to make stories and you're going to have to do reels. It's always something.
Yeah.
Always
They're changing.
Right. There's no consistency. And the thing is with YouTube, the consistency is always the same. You're always going to have to put a title in. You're always going to have to make a creative thumbnail. You're always going to have, it's predictable, right? So there are some things that are always the same on YouTube, right? So that's why I like it, because you still can be creative. There is consistency. They don't add like weird crap all the time that you're like, oh, you know, like your channel now will bomb because you didn't do carousels on.
And I think that the biggest reason why is because of what YouTube's goal is. And their goal is the viewer experience.
Correct.
Like they want people to be on there. They want them to stay on there as long as possible. So they're going to make sure that the human element is the most important thing. What is the viewer's experience and how can we enhance that? Everything else seems to me, and I don't know a ton about all the other stuff, but it seems more like that's more of like the hacks and more of like how to get like more traction on stuff, but it's not an organic way of growing. It's kind of like using their different hacks or whatever. I did want to mention one thing really fast. Stuart asked, what are your thoughts on a teleprompter? This is my teleprompter right here. This thing is all I use for a teleprompter. And then it just sits on my DSLR and my phone goes in it like this. So you put the phone in it and it sits like this. And then basically you read off of it. Now, because it's not on the camera, you see through it, but the way that the angle of the lens is, it actually shows you the screen. This is they're back in stock now. They went out of stock for a long time, but they're back on Amazon. This is it's called a pad caster, and it's by Parrot Teleprompter. These are amazing. It's like $150 or something like that.
I don't mind teleprompting, but I can tell you the channels that only depend on teleprompting are the ones I always go, they're reading a teleprompter. So I think
Christina says no, she doesn't like them.
The thing is I will say this: if there's information that, of course, that you need, like statistics and all that kind of stuff, that you're really like wanting to get a point across and you don't want to mess up any words, use that teleprompter. But be prepared. Like, I would prepare yourself just to have a conversation with the camera, just like I am right now, because it feels more personal to the person watching. Like you're having that conversation with them in the kitchen, even though you're on the screen.
Yeah.
So like put your own feeling into it. Because if you're just reading, it sounds like you're reading a book. But when you actually put your own inflection on your voice, because your own passion comes out, it's going to be much more engaging for the audience itself. And I understand. Like I do sticky tapes because I want to make sure I get that number right. So I'll put it right underneath my camera, so I remember the certain statistics that I really want to say. But I talk a lot of like through bullet points to get to the point of what we're talking about,
Yeah. And when I do a teleprompter for like 90% of the stuff that I do. But the thing is, I don't put the teleprompter on and then just read it and then I'm done. I'm studying the script way beforehand, so that's really just a guide to help me through. I've just found that for me, that works a lot better and I'm more efficient that way. But you still have to kind of look off screen. And it takes practice, right? It's like anything else. Like you have to like put effort in and you have to do your voice inflections and really just kind of like Christina's saying, is you look through the camera and you imagine who's the viewer that you're talking to right now. Like that's actually what I'm doing right now is I'm looking at you guys like going, okay, they're on the screen watching what we're talking about. I want to make sure as much as I possibly can to be looking right into the lens and talk to you guys. But for me, for speed wise, I find that it works better to do teleprompter, but it doesn't matter as long as you're okay with like put your content out, you'll get better at it. And it's essentially, for me, the scripts, I know them really, really well. So a lot of it is just kind of like keeping me on pace.
Somebody said it was amazed between the differences between VidSummit 2023 versus 2022. I'm going to tell you why, because we had it in
it's a bigger venue.
Yeah, well, Daryl had it in LA, in that hotel that had always been doing it had issues, and then the issues continued to compile out after the pandemic. It got worse. And because they were contracted, they had no choice but to stay in 2022. And then he knew he was going to change it in 2023. And it will be even better now because we have more space. And I'm just excited. I'm excited. It's going to be great. Anyways,
it's going to be awesome.
Rebecca says, whatever you put your time and energy in, you will get something out of it. Oh, yeah, you will. Sometimes you're not worth it.
Yeah, you could put your energy into something that doesn't help, like doing keyword strategy.
I did that. I used to spend a whole day on all those. I did keywords everywhere. I did VidIQ. I did Morning Fame. I did TubeBuddy. I would go through all 4 of those. After I had searched all the keywords, I would sit there and write a 250-word blog post because a freaking guru told me to freaking do that. Did that, put that in my description, and then made sure I keyword the hell out of that title. Right.
And have that go for you.
Man, if I got over 500 views, I felt like I did really well. Like, I really felt like I was doing something good.
Yeah.
So sad.
Oh, David's saying he means the AI. Yeah.
Oh, the amount of AI discussion.
Well, okay. So let's talk about that. This is going to be something I'm super excited because I edit my own videos, and Adobe is partnering with OpenAI for Sora. And I am so excited to be able to use AI generated B-roll. I can't wait to see what they come up with. I think it's going to be amazing.
I will say this though, and everybody needs to know this, that your audience isn't stupid. So if you only depend on AI to tell the story throughout your videos, people are going to be like, oh my God, this is all AI generated. It's just like when you use AI images in your thumbnails.
Yeah.
It's good to create certain images, laying real images on top of it, so it doesn't feel completely made up by computers. It was very exciting at the beginning, and people did click on them at the beginning, but now they're kind of like, ugh, AI, you see them all over Facebook, you're not fooling anybody that it's AI. And I will say that it's a tool. The AI images that you create on ChatGPT, it's a tool. The images that you're probably going to be able to take with video, it's a tool. It's not meant to replace. So don't depend on those to create your content for you. Just like you shouldn't be depending on AI to write your scripts completely and you're reading them verbatim. I mean, come on. Yeah. You're not providing any value that way. Be realistic. AI is a tool. That's it. Yep. It's just you got a better, bigger calculator now.
Well, and some of it is that it will help speed up, but you have to do moderation, right? And so So just like what you're talking about in the beginning of your thumbnails, having a bubble, and then you give them your elements and they could put the bubble within the bubble. And now all of a sudden, you could have a ChatGPT with Dolly create a house and a bubble and variations of it, which is amazing because you couldn't ever find something like that. And then you take that element and you incorporate that element into your thumbnail, but you're not okay, it generates the thumbnail and then you just use that. It won't you still have to put thought behind it. You have to really understand what your viewer wants and how, what it is that they're going to click on. And it's the same thing with the AI B-roll and stuff. I'm super excited because there's things that you're going to be able to get that you wouldn't have been able to get before, or with Storyblocks or some of these other software where you download B-roll, it doesn't quite fit with what you're looking for. I'm excited for that. But the idea is you still it still has to have that human element. You're just using that to enhance your story. It's kind of like when you're baking and everything's bland and you put some extra ingredients in it, like some sugar or something to really just make it go over the top, or the frosting with some nuts on it or something. I don't know. Like that's how I look at AI with this stuff, is it's something to help enhance what you're already doing, because ultimately what we're doing is we're educating through telling stories, or educating with examples, and people are visual. So if you can show pigs flying, like, this is never going to happen until pigs fly, and then all of a sudden you see a pig flying, like holding a real estate sign, that'd be pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, so you enhance that
body
story.
was in the house, you know.
Yeah.
You could make that on your own. I mean, I've done stuff like that. It takes hours and hours and hours, and the AI can do it just like that.
Yeah. So it's like that. It's like that point where your speed of getting what you want, but not relying on it to do all of it for you, because then it's not something that people are going to want to watch.
Yep, exactly. Well, look, if you guys are interested in coaching, we're going to be starting the next group in the next 3 weeks, I believe, Joe. I think that's where we're at right now. So go to realestatevideogeeks.com. Go ahead and sign up now, and we'll be starting our next round for very good coaching. We have some big news. I know there's some students in the audience. We have some big news for you guys coming up soon. You guys are going to be really excited, and it's going to be really great for any new students that are going to be heading into the next time too. So just know things are going to be looking different over there at the Geeks.
We have some really cool stuff.
We got some really cool stuff coming out for you guys. I'm really excited. So anyways, Joe, is there anything you want to tell anybody? One last thing you should tell them not to get ripped off on? What would be one more thing that they shouldn't get ripped off on?
Don't spend so much time on your background for what you're doing. Don't go buy a bunch of stuff and do all that, and then because you're going to change it anyways. Like just put content out, and like just focus on getting just better each video. But I think people worry so much about what their background looks like and all the stuff, and then they never make a video. So
and I'll piggyback on that. If you happen to live in the most beautiful areas of the country, like Hawaii, don't green screen Hawaii and sit in your office. Go outside and film your video in the most beautiful place on the planet, which is Hawaii. You know, that would be my advice to you. So that's the cheapest way. You didn't even have to buy the green screen. Go outside.
No, like literally you can just be right out there, and then just have a really good mic so you don't hear the wind.
Yep. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. If there's something you wanted us to talk about next week for YouTube, let us know in the comment section, or just let us know. We'll accommodate. We will accommodate. Goodbye, everybody. Be good. Should we end with some music?
Yeah, let's do, because we started with some, so why not, right?
Let's see if this one sounds any good. Let's see if this music sounds any good. I don't know if it's gonna sound good. I like this one.
We've done this one before.
Yep. I love this one. It sounds very Mardi Gras.